before I've presented my case. I'm leaving you, Summit. After what you've just said, you'll forget it.
Hello, love.
For over 30 years, Blanche Hunt has put the world of Weatherfield to rights.
Bang! The same.
Yeah, with a sharp tongue.
Oh, give over.
Gossiping ways.
Oh, she loves a drama, that Gail.
And blunt put-downs.
You stark staring bonkers.
She entertained millions.
I hope it's not going to keep up a racket. There's an Agatha Christie on at 5 past.
Blanche was the epitome of one of those cantankerous old people who are just brutally honest.
Do you think Ken wants to stare at thongs all day? The man's an intellectual.
She's fearless of people. She was completely and utterly unafraid of anybody.
I might be old, but I'm not deaf or stupid.
Devilish.
Good looks are a curse. You and Ken should count yourselves very lucky.
Magnificent.
Cometh the hour, Deirdre. Cometh the woman. Cometh Blanche Hunt.
Maggie Jones died in December 2009.
We shall miss Maggie deeply.
And now Coronation Street fans have also said goodbye to Blanche.
I thought nobody could stand me, Mum.
You know better than that, love.
Over the next half hour, with a little help from her friends, we'll pay tribute to Maggie Jones and one of the street's most popular characters ever.
Oh, thank you.
1974, and Maggie Jones's first appearance as Blanche Hunt.
Mr. Langton?
The one and only.
I'm Deirdre's mother. I've got something for you. Well, you should have been by
Right from the start, Blanche was a force to be reckoned with.
when you deserve sympathy. That night, he were as sick as a cat on bad cockles and stale beer and spent the rest of the holiday in bed.
Maggie may have made her debut as Blanche, but she was already no stranger to Weatherfield's famous cobbles.
I thought Maggie's first appearance on the street was totally different character.
Hey, it's your first time, isn't it?
Said I played a policewoman. Said I must have been a lousy policewoman because the next time I came back, I was a shoplifter.
Tell them you lost your memory.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, I got away with pounds of stuff in the early days with that tale.
Maggie Jones was born in London in 1934. She married barrister Joe Stansfield in 1971, a marriage that lasted until his death in 1999.
Well, of course, Maggie had done loads of stuff before she ever got into the street.
Maggie Jones trained at RADA, appearing in many stage plays before making her mark in television
Lord, I forgot what...
as Polly Barraclough in the mining drama Sam, and in other shows like the detective series Bullman.
I watched most of these characters sort of echoing in Blanche, especially that glint in her eye and a slight smile.
I loved writing for Blanche. Last producer used to take the mick out of me because I used to add her to every single episode I used to write because I just found her so funny.
You're remarkably chipper. Trod on a snail. Just thinking of yourself as usual.
About time, too.
For 20 years, Blanche and Maggie Jones made occasional appearances on the street, popping in for births, deaths and marriages.
Together here in the sight of God and in the face of...
I don't think it was until the mid-90s, something like that, that she came in as the Blanche that we know and love and fear.
Mrs. Hunt, as a matter of fact, but I can forgive you for wondering. All the names she's had.
She managed to keep the flag flying for non-politically correct jokes and lines.
College, it'll be full of homosexuals.
The word is gay, Mother.
Another word hijacked by hippies and liberals. Those poor cripples.
Blanche, you can't use words like that.
You've married foreign once. You could have done it again and got a shop out of it in a divorce settlement. You're never happy. You're never satisfied. We beat up journalists for fun.
So no one was safe from Blanche's sharp tongue, but she saved her most withering comments for daughter Deirdre.
Oh, hello. Here comes trouble. She was a constant source of embarrassment to Deirdre.
Oh, why can't you be a proper daughter? All your life you've settled for second best.
She just used to follow her around apologising to people most of the time. So sorry about my mother.
No, this is from a job interview. What job?
Prostitute.
Blanche.
Mother!
I mean, I like drinking. I love it, in fact. I mean, that's why I can't get...
She may have been a thorn in Deirdre's side.
Get tanked up.
Mother!
What?
Don't be so...
But having Blanche in the same room wasn't exactly a bed of roses for anyone else either, as Ken and Peter found out in a comedy classic from 2009.
Can I ask you something?
Well, we don't...
They say that alcohol loosens the tongue. Well, you must have talked 10 to the dozen with drink inside you.
It was Peter's AA meeting, but she kind of stole the whole thing, really.
Is there some correlation between how boring you are and how much you drink?
Blanche.
She dared to say things in there, in that meeting, that nobody else would have said.
You want to get out more. Wait till you try bingo. You'll hyperventilate.
And then she starts again, going on about her family.
Ken recently had an affair with an actress. Oh, it wasn't Nicole Kidman or Glenda Jackson. She lived on a tugboat.
It was a barge.
Is there any wonder why I drink?
It was absolutely classic.
Oh, no, had to make sure that my humiliation was as public as possible. Oh, well, it isn't exactly the bar of the Rover's Return, is it?
Just as well. This lot a bit foaming at the mouth. But at least one of us is a lady.
Outspoken, no nonsense, and brutally honest, Blanche didn't suffer fools.
So, what's your poison?
Strychnine. Make yours a double.
And she definitely wasn't going to be a fool in love.
I think over the years she's had her eye on a few blokes.
I love you!
Though she was hard and brutal and honest and all the difficult things, she really was quite a sentimental old thing.
Blanche found love in the most unusual of places.
Oh, it was after a funeral. I wrote complaining that one of the pallbearers had been chewing gum.
Sunshine away.
Theirs was a match made in the mortuary, and Archie the Undertaker stole Blanche's heart.
I dreamt that you were by my side.
Archie Shuttleworth, what on earth do you think you're doing?
When I finished the song, I couldn't get up. So Ken and everybody picked me up and took me into the house. And I was crying, you see. And Maggie said, "Oh, dear, that must have hurt you." I said, "No." I said it was my mum's favourite song.
Very funny, because both of them, Maggie and Roy, were just so funny together.
I bet she has you in stitches. I know she does me. You're very quiet tonight.
Am I?
But her newfound happiness didn't last long, as Archie's eye started to wander.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's Mrs. Roberts, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, I'm afraid our relationship is now over.
And Blanche was back on the market quicker than one of her trademark put-downs.
Surely you can look Blanche Hunt in the eye and tell her she's dumped. Poor Blanche was slightly elbowed out of the scenario. I don't think she ever possibly forgave Audrey for that.
You know, but having Blanche and Audrey both chasing me, well, I felt like a footballer with a couple of birds.
But Blanche bounced back.
Right then. So if it's love you are looking for, then seek pastures new.
Replacing Archie with Wally.
Oh, here he is.
Look at you now,
who swiftly replaced her for her granddaughter.
Hello, Mr. Bannister.
Not so much look back in anger as look back in another bad mood.
One author, soon to be con artist later, and Blanche set her sights on someone much closer to home, Simon's other granddad, George.
How's young Simon today? And you must be Deirdre, Ken's wife.
Pleased to meet you.
Blanche, obviously, quite fancied George.
Good company. Loaded. I think I'm in love.
And got very dressed up.
Hello, everyone.
And the blusher. She got rather too much on. She looked like she'd come out the toy box.
Granny Blanche, why have you got a funny face on?
Blanche had a wicked sense of humour.
good and bad in this room.
So she painted this picture of just the most dysfunctional family that you could ever imagine.
This one, she were in prison. I nearly died of the shame.
I think you've had enough, Blanche.
Oh, well, you certainly have. And this one here, he's an alcoholic, you know.
I'll just get you another glass, Blanche, with tea in it.
Oh, and now I'm being told off by the former prostitute. Oh, naughty Blanche. Naughty.
After 25 years flitting in and out of Ken and Deirdre's lives, Blanche made things permanent in 1999. Suddenly, there were 3 people in this marriage.
Hey, there's naught like young love, and that's naught like it.
From that moment Ken's life would never be the same again.
Be a man, Kenneth.
For Ken, yes, I think she was the mother-in-law from hell, definitely.
Yeah, she always tried to bring Ken down, didn't she?
Smells like an anchovies jockstrap in here.
She's always having a go at him.
Growling at the rest of us like a demented Kenny Rogers.
Look, I'm trying to write. I need to focus.
See, but he can be a bit pretentious and a bit uppish, and he just needs dragging back down to earth.
No husband of mine would get favours at bedtime in that condition.
Don't start.
When Gail's dad Ted arrived on the street, Ken saw an intellectual equal. But Blanche saw something completely different.
A grown man dressed as a geisha. Have you gone to start raving mad?
Ken is not gay.
Just because things seem all right in the bedroom department.
Do you mind?
You don't have to be Angela Lansbury to piece this one together.
Of course, Blanche being Blanche, put 2 and 2 together and made 6.
Sorry I was so long ago waylaid by Rita. You know, I never realised before, she's got the most fabulous skin.
A lot of it was devilment, you know, and there was a lot of devilment in Maggie Jones, too.
I am not homosexual.
Then the cock crew.
What I love is when I get a script and I see the wonderful Blanche lines, I can't wait to hear Maggie deliver them, and it is always to perfection.
I have nothing against the gays, Kenneth. I just don't want my daughter married to one.
I think she knew what she was doing. And of course, Maggie played it magnificently.
I have a perfectly pleasant evening in store with an interesting man who has lived life to the full, a properly rounded human being.
Smitten.
There's only so much a man can take.
Okay.
And Ken snapped.
What the hell's going on? I were asleep.
Get out!
Snapped.
Why can't you just keep it shut, Blanche, for once in your life?
And snapped again.
Oh, will you shut your nasty little mouth?
I wrote an episode where he'd gone to the pub and he'd had a few drinks.
Are you drunk?
Damn right I'm drunk. The only sensible option in this madhouse.
Blanche has the usual go.
A man of your age, weaving about like an old wino.
Gives Ken the opportunity to hit back at Blanche, saying,
You've been knitting under a guillotine somewhere.
But I think secretly, Blanche would have been glad that Ken had a bit of backbone at that moment.
You really are a miserable old bat.
Despite the harsh words, life at number 1 returned to normal. In fact, better than normal.
I'm extremely fond of you. And I felt really quite tearful, and I know she did.
There's a side of Blanche that you didn't actually see very often, and it brought tears to my eyes. And it was genuine, and she cared for Ken.
Oh, turn it up.
But it wasn't just Ken whose relationship with Blanche could be described as explosive.
Now look what you've done.
She'd given everyone in the family a piece of her mind.
Is someone going to cook me tea? Or am I going to have to report you to help the aged?
Oh, Blanche.
Including her grandchildren.
Do you think of other folks' feelings instead of yourself?
When she wasn't fighting with them...
You nasty-mouthed little madam.
She was fighting for them.
Give her a chance, Deirdre.
She loved her family fiercely, and she would defend them to the last breath.
The fact that Blanche is the person that sits them all around that tiny table and tells them the way life is might be the thing that actually saved Barlow's.
My hero. Round 1. 2003, and when Tracy got her hands on Roy, Blanche took on the croppers.
Stop her giving our flesh and blood away to the freak show at the cafe.
And fought for Tracy's baby.
He looks like he should be crayoning something. And you can call yourself what you like. But I'm not letting any fella who wears women's underwear anywhere near my flesh and blood.
I think we did a couple of takes because it was very, very funny. But, you know, the important thing to do is to play it for real, and that's what Maggie always did.
You'll get that baby over my dead body.
She was always on Tracy's side, you know? I think maybe she saw a little bit of herself in Tracy.
Well, now we know where Tracy gets it from.
Round 2, 2008, and Peter's battle was with the bottle.
You're too busy pickling your liver. I'm feeling sorry for yourself.
In Peter's corner, Granny Blanche.
Do you want to drink?
I think you're drinking enough for both of us.
She never got off his case. She would chip away at him and chip away at him. Anything to stop his old habits and his old ways, you know.
I think Peter's turned a corner.
Let's hope there isn't a pub on it.
Peter won his fight with the booze, but when he hooked up with Leanne, Blanche delivered a killer punch.
An ex-prostitute and an alcoholic. Jerry Springer and do cartwheels.
Ignore her.
It was really hard not to laugh a lot of the time. You know, when you were supposed to keep a straight face, we'd find ourselves saying cut, and then we'd all just go burst into laughter.
When she wasn't sticking her oar into her own family's business, she took every opportunity to nosy into other people's.
The job properly. I tell you, Kenneth, you'd better learn to enjoy other people's misfortunes, or you'll have a very unhappy old age.
A typical day out for Blanche that she'd really enjoy is to get on a bus and go to the law courts to see somebody put away for 10 years.
I'm bringing a Jean Plaidy. Because the first few days can be quite dull at a trial.
She was obviously a gossip. I think she loved the drama.
People in wigs twist things. Ask Danny LaRue.
Yeah, I love the idea that Blanche is a regular at Weatherfield Court. Just knocks on the door and takes a flask and some sandwiches. Of all the people to have seen them, Blanche was probably the worst.
Have I missed something?
We've been having an affair.
There's only one thing that Blanche relished more than a juicy court drama, and that was a good send-off.
I've been to more funerals this year than you've had hot dinners.
It was her favourite thing, was going to funerals.
It's a good turnout compared to some of the funerals I go to.
Just having a poke into somebody else's life.
They went along there with travelling rugs and thermos flasks, and they made a day of it.
Ethel Armitage were buried in a biodegradable coffin made of banana leaves. She didn't even like bananas. They gave a terrible wind.
She brought grub home and gave ham sandwiches and stuff to Ken and Deirdre.
You made even more.
No, I haven't made any. These are what were left from the funeral.
You mean the second hand?
All of this got Blanche thinking. Just what would her own big day be like?
Any that were bitten into, I threw away.
In a bid to find out, she hosted her own wake.
You'd hardly notice I died.
Well, it's not easy when the person you're supposed to be mourning is standing at the bar.
I'll see if I can't gee them all up.
But she didn't like what she heard.
All I want is a kind word from each of you. It's that too much to ask for?
Things that were said weren't very nice, and she didn't like that.
But Blanche needn't have worried. She finally got the send-off she would have wanted, and it marked the end of an era.
The Barlows will never be the same without you.
We shall miss you as part of a family. You were wonderful.
There's always the line at the end that you used to have that's now missing. But do you know what? We can all still hear you say it.
It's rectal, but it's been through the dishwasher.
Blanche's legacy will live on in Weatherfield.
Too much eyeliner and roots as dark as her soul.
In her wisdom.
In my day, when something bad happened, you stayed at home, got drunk and bit on a shoe.
Experience.
Rickets, TB, rations, those were the days.
And advice.
If you're unsure about what to say nout.
But Maggie Jones will be missed. Hugely.
We love you, Maggie.
Weep if you must. Parting is hell. But life goes on. So sing as well. God bless Maggie.
Thank you.